Good afternoon, everyone. Magandang hapon po sa ating lahat. It's National Coconut and Corn Week. So, welcome to our virtual Kapihan session on research and innovations in coconut and corn sectors. So, organized by the Philippines Partnership for Sustainable Agriculture, or the PPSA, and the lead of our Learning Alliance working group, the Southeast Asian Regional Center for Graduate Study and Research in Agriculture, or the CIRCA. So, by the way, my name is Ryan Abarquez po. I'm from PPSA. And I will be your host for this afternoon session. Ano pa? So today, we will talk about the latest research and innovations in two most important crops in the Philippines. So ano po ang mga ito? Yes, tama po kayo. It's the coconut and the corn. These crops are not just staple foods. They are the backbone of the livelihoods of millions of Filipino farmers and a significant part of our economy. So today, we have an exciting lineup of experts who will share their research and innovative solutions aimed at addressing the challenges faced by these sectors. But before we dive into discussions, we have some reminders. Ano po? So first, our virtual kapihan is recorded. Second, please remain on mute while our speakers are presenting. Third, should you have any questions for our speakers, please use the chat box below po, and we will address them later. The certificates in attendance will be shared at the end of the session, so stay with us no hanggang sa end ng ating session. And last but not definitely the least, let's give this a safe space for everyone to share their thoughts. Okay, and now let's go to officially open today's session. May we invite Dr. Girly Tatlonghari, the program head of the Research and Thought Leadership Department at CIRCA, to deliver her welcome remarks. Dr. Girly, magandang hapon po.
Ay, magandang hapon, Ryan. Good afternoon, everyone. It is my pleasure to welcome you all to this Kapehan session organized by the PPSA Learning Alliance in collaboration with CIRCA. This is our third Kapehan session that PPSA and CIRCA and the Learning Alliance Working Group organized in this year, 2024. So last March, we had a session on science communication to help our peers in the agriculture sector to gain insights on how they can communicate their works in agriculture to the general public. So we also had a session on research and innovation focusing on climate change and agriculture during the second quarter. So today, we gather to explore and discuss research and innovation into our most vital sectors of Philippine agriculture, the coconut and corn. So we are thrilled to have such a diverse and knowledgeable group of participants. So welcome po mga researchers, innovators, industry players, farmers, and youth who share a common interest in advancing these vital sectors. So the coconut and corn industries are pillars of the Philippine agricultural economy. Coconut, often referred to as the tree of life, is deeply woven into our culture and livelihoods. The Philippines is one of the world's largest producers of coconuts with around 3.6 million hectares of land dedicated to coconut farming. This sector supports millions of Filipinos, especially in rural areas, providing both employment and a source of income. Similarly, with corn, corn is a crucial, especially for our local food security and livestock industries. So in the Philippines, corn is next to rice as the most important crop cultivated on approximately 2.5 million hectares of land. It is a staple food for many Filipinos and a key ingredient in livestock feed, underscoring its importance in both the food and feed markets. However, these crops face significant challenges, from the impacts of climate change to pest and disease outbreaks, all of which threaten their sustainability and productivity. In this context, research and innovation are strong allies to help ensure that these sectors can thrive in the face of adversity. So today's session is particularly timely as it aligns with the celebration of National Coconut Week and National Corn Week. Our gathering today not only recognizes the importance of coconut and corn in our economy, livelihood, and food security, but it also highlights the importance of continuous learning and collaboration among researchers, innovators, industry players in addressing the pressing issues faced by the agriculture sector. So I encourage you today to engage fully in this discussion and share your insights and explore opportunities for collaboration. So together, we can drive growth and development of the coconut and corn sectors, ensuring its resilience and sustainability for future generations. So again, magandang hapon po sa ating lahat.
Thank you, Dr. Gurley, for those inspiring words and for setting the tone for today's session. And now, to introduce and moderate our first panel discussion, please welcome, wala pong iba, Dane Medina, the Program Associate of CIRCA. Miss Dane, good afternoon.
Hi, good afternoon. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining us online. Thank you, Sir Ryan. So I hope our participants are as excited as I am for today's discussion. So as we all know, and as mentioned by Dr. Gurley earlier, the coconut industry is a vital part of our economy and supports millions of livelihoods across the Philippines. However, it faces several challenges from climate change to declining productivity. So today, our panelists will present innovations that address these issues and explore how we can drive the sector forward through research and technology. So let me first introduce our distinguished panelists. So first, we have Senior Research Specialists, Mr. Joel Herone Larupay and Mr. Jesimar Cabasag, representing the Philippine Coconut Authority, Zamboanga Research Center. They will be discussing research initiatives on coconut conservation and utilization in the Philippines. So they will be followed by DNL Industries Inc. Senior Consultant, Mr. Ramon Tanyola, and Natura Aeropac Corporation Research and Development Director, Mr. Glenn C. Apostol. They will be talking about green chemistry using coconut-derived products. So our panelists will have around 10 minutes each to present. So after the panelists' presentation, we will open the floor for a Q&A session. And please feel free to type your questions in the chat box and we will address them later in the Q&A session. So to start off the discussions, please welcome from the Philippine Coconut Authority, Zamboanga Research Center, Senior Research Specialist, Mr. Joel Herone Larupay, and Research Specialist, Mr. Jesimar Cabasag. Sirs, you may take the virtual floor.
Hello, good afternoon.
Hi,
Magandang
good
buhay po.
afternoon. Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
So, magandang buhay. Good afternoon po sa lahat. I am Jesimar Cabasag together with me, my colleagues, Sir Joel Jerome Larupay, and we are the Senior Scientist Specialists of Plant Genetic Resources Conservation and Utilization Division. Part of this topic will be discussed by Sir Joel, and I will be discussing the first part of this presentation. So let's start with the Philippine situation on terms of the conservation of coconut genetic resources here in the Philippines. Since the last collection mission of the plant genetic resources decades ago, only 60% of the country's total area were explored, and the coconut genetic resources in the 40% of the remaining area remains in the field with no backup and are at risk of disappearance. Factors such as changes in agricultural practices and land use, natural calamities, pests and diseases, overexploitation, as well as climate change would impact genetic erosion, and worse, genetic bottleneck is a timely concern. And with these factors, loss of valuable coconut genetic resources is possible and worse, irreversible. So the conservation and collection of coconut genetic resources here in the Philippines is governed by these three objectives. We have to collect and evaluate the performance of various local and exotic coconut cultivars, to systematically explore coconut growing areas in the country, and prospect for new genetic materials, as well as to restructure and conserve the noted variability here in the National Coconut Field Gene Bank Resources Center for further utilization and observation for observed merits. There are 5 reasons why the Philippine Coconut Authority Zamboanga Research Center, PGRCUD, is collecting germplasm. And these are to fill the gap for future use. There are instances that the diversity in the germplasm that is missing or is insufficiently represented in an existing field gene bank, or we are to rescue the existing germplasm due to it, probably they are in danger of genetic erosion or even extension, or we collect them for immediate use. There's a clear need for the germplasm that has been expressed by the users, either at the national level or at international level. We are also collecting for research. More information is needed to be known about the germplasm, or it could be utilized as a breeding material for any breeding program in the coconut industry. As well as opportunistic collections, there might be a notable traits or unusual occurrences or probably a unique local uses of the germplasm that needs research. Here's is the logical workflow outlining the steps in the evaluation and utilization of coconut germplasm in relation to conservation and distribution. We usually start with the collection mission. We usually use seed nuts through seed nuts or embryos. Sometimes we collect populations through pollen. And variability may exist through indigenous germplasm or foreign introduction. But when we try to introduce foreign populations, we usually quarantine them in case there will be exotic pests and diseases that are coming with this introduction. And with this genetic variability, we conserve them in stocks or for screening in nurseries and field plots, for hybridization or selfing or panmisia, or we are trying to do genetic trial for original testing in the farmer's fields. And it is important to note that any information that can be derived from those trials or from those hybridization setups shall be recorded in a record system information for dissemination. And once we have identified outstanding population, they will be mass propagated in isolated seed gardens and for the distribution of farmers. So there are standardized prospecting methods in coconut germplasm collection. This is done because the Philippines is an archipelagic island, and collection mission here in such a type of country is very challenging. In the collection of new accession, the DUS principle is observed. The coconut accessions in investigation shall be distinct. The variety differs from the existing varieties, and there must be no duplications, as well as the variety must be uniform. They are expressed uniformly, and they must not change over subsequent generations. The success of a germplasm survey, either for studying genetic diversity or for collecting nuts for a germplasm collection, it is largely governed by the choice of sample populations. Ideally, the choice of population, we can collect as much variability as much as possible, but given the resources, the financial resources, and the ability of the organizations to utilize the set of this population is very challenging. So hence there will be a guidelines for the choice of populations. The number one guideline is to set the objectives of the collecting survey. The strategies shall be employed depends on the objectives of the collecting mission. If the objective of the collecting mission is to target specific characters, then a targeted collection must be done. But if there is no preconceived idea of the characters to be sought, just systematic sampling or genetic diversity will be done. And if there is a threatened populations to be conserved or to be utilized, and then identification of population disappearance risk factors is needed to pinpoint location. And then the second guideline is to identify all the populations from which the samples will be collected. With this, the geographical zones of the area or the locations should be identified precisely, and they must be fixed, and the coverage must be fixed precisely. And the inventory of the population, of the selected population, must be made available. And the third guidelines for the choice of population is to obtain information about the population. This include ethnobotany, ecology, agronomy, cropping systems, plant pathology, genetics. And this is very important because this will be the initial step to know better of the populations that you are going to collect. And the last guidelines for the choice of population is to gather pre-prospection data in situ. This must be done before the collection mission. But if this is impossible to do, knowledge on the in the in situ environment should be gathered first to know the growth habit and fruit components. And there are general approaches to collecting coconut germplasm. We can collect through nuts, through seed nuts, or through embryos, or through pollen, as per choice of population. For seed nuts, what we have done is to harvest 330 seed nuts of 11 to 12 months from 30 or more normal farms. The 30 of these seed nuts shall be for fruit component analysis, and the 300 are to be sown in nursery for seedlings data gathering. While for the embryo collection through embryo, we are to harvest 400 seed nuts of 11 to 12 months of normal from 30 or more normal farms, and then 30 fruit component analysis, 30 seed nuts for fruit component analysis, while the 370 are for embryo culture, or for the collection embryo, or the albumin cylinder with embryo. And this will be raised in the laboratory. And for the nut and for the seed nuts and the embryo collection, it is the standard. The number of farms to be planted in gene bank is 100 to 150. However, when the nuts or the seed nuts are harvested during the time of the visit, during the collection mission, random heap sampling may be done, but this only may be done when there is no alternative. For the pollen, collection of pollen, we are doing harvesting of male flowers from 30 or more from inflorescence bearing mature male flowers. And then the pollen shall be processed in the nearest research station, and pollen may be bulked to represent the sample population. And lastly, to transfer this population to the gene bank, the tall and dwarf types should be planted separately using one control cultivar for each type with at least 3 replications. In theory, dwarfs could be planted less than the tall dwarf because they are homogeneous in nature. But for the sake of if the dwarf is identified as astounding population, it can be planted as same as the tall types. The recommended size per population for the dwarf, 60 planted seedlings replicated at least 3 times. And then for the tall, 90 planted seedlings replicated at least 3 times. In an instance that there is an inadequate population size, the conservation may also be done, but conservation may be done while additional collection is pursued. And if the collection mission cannot be repeated, samples may be biased and incomplete. But if those outstanding or those population are chosen for precise breeding, preserving as a gene source is justifiable. Here in Zamboanga Research Center, we encourage establishment in blocks, especially those accessions that are identified as outstanding or those important accessions. So the next part of this presentation will be presented by my colleague, Mr. Joel Larupay. Sir Joel, please proceed.
Thank you, JM. So, continuing the topic, mabilis na lang po to siya. So, next please. So, after all the collection efforts as discussed by Sir JM, the PCA Zamboanga Research Center currently maintains 263 coconut accessions, which is comprised by 108 dolls, 53 dwarfs, 102 hybrid inline collections, and is considered one of the world's largest depository of coconut collections with emphasis on indigenous populations or varieties. Next slide, please. So here are the samples of some accessions that are currently conserved here at our coconut gene bank. So you can see there are different kinds and types of varieties and accessions. So next, please. So other efforts in line with the conservation is we conduct regeneration of coconut accessions with emphasis to regenerate and rejuvenate dwarf and tall accessions that were planted as early as 1976 onwards and focusing on those with important traits. So regeneration involves control hand pollination for talls and selfing for dwarfs, which undergoes purity testing through phenotypic evaluation, DNA-assisted selection, and as well as data collection and field establishment. Next, please. So another efforts that is in line with the conservation is we also try to acquire important foreign accessions through collaborations with other international gene banks. So currently, the Zamboanga Research Center is conserving 5 important embryonic cultured foreign coconut varieties, which are Brazilian green dwarf, Muleca green dwarf, Rangirio atoll, Komoromo heritol, and Lacadive ordinary tol, which are potentially can be utilized on various forms of utilization. So next slide, please. So one application of why we collect is for breeding purposes. So for example, our PCA recommended coconut hybrids and cultivars, which has composed of 15 recommended hybrids that are single crossed by dwarf and tall populations. So these underwent 15 years of evaluation, and the ones that are encircled are currently being mass-produced at the Zamboanga Research Center through assisted pollination hybridization technique and distributed as part of the planting and replanting program of PCA. So currently, these hybrids are also being mass-produced through on-farm hybridization program of the Philippine Coconut Authority nationwide. So next, please. So just a short recap. So why coconut hybrids? They are faster and are more precocious, produce higher and more stable yield of copra and other high-value products, are more uniform and easy to harvest, are more efficient user of inputs, and quickly recover from water stress. So currently there are also undergoing breeding programs that aims to produce hybrids that are geared towards special traits or some potential industrial applications or nutritional or pharmaceutical applications. Next, please. So one aspect also, once we conserve the varieties or accessions, is we try to characterize them for us to be able to determine, especially to the needs of the farmers, what kind of varieties are to be recommended in the specific types of products. So this data came from the other DOST previously funded by the DOST Picard project, utilization of coconut genetic resources for high value and emerging products. So we were able to determine recommended varieties for toddy production as shown. So next, please. Also for sub-sugar production, so which are mostly dominated by dwarfs and hybrids. Next, please. Also for the virgin coconut oil production, so we have a recommended coconut variety when the producer aims in terms of volume or in terms of quality. And these recommending coconut varieties are still ongoing since we have currently ongoing projects to profile other accessions of our coconuts. So next, please. So we have also recommended varieties for commercial buko, young tender coconut production. So those flush are some of the recommended coconut varieties we recommend to the farmers. Also, we would like to emphasize the importance of biotechnology tools in line with our conservation and utilization activities. So some of these are embryo culture, specifically for our makapuno. And also embryo culture, as mentioned by Sir JM, its application on the collection efforts, somatic embryogenesis, and also the utilization of our molecular markers for conservation and for utilization of our coconut genetic resources. So that would be, I guess that would
Sir Joel is done and Sir Jesse. So thank you, Sir Joel and Sir Jesse, for a very insightful presentation. So this session on coconut is close to my heart since my father is from Quezon Province, where coconut is one of the major commodities. So I really see the importance of this PCA initiative of using modern technologies in collecting germplasm and conserving coconut varieties. Okay, so at this point, let us welcome our next speaker to share about green chemistry using coconut-derived products. So please welcome DNL Industries Inc. Senior Consultant Mr. Ramon Tanyola and Natura Aeropac Corporation Research and Development Director Mr. Glenn C. Apostol. So I think the first one to present is Sir Ramon.
Yes, good afternoon,
Yes,
everybody.
good afternoon, sir.
Yeah, please open my slides. Thank you. Okay, just a general introduction. Hang on. So our presentation is divided into two. One is presenting the general framework for our sustainability initiatives, and our prejudice, our bias is at the source. So we have entitled it Sustainability at the Source. The framework is supposed to be for long-term wellness and welfare of the earth and everyone in it. Okay. So we do firmly believe that real and true and genuine sustainability should be at the source. This is the kind of framework that we are adopting. On top is the farmer, and around the farmer, his farm, the family, the community, and supporting him are our different DNL groups. We have 7 big business units. DNL is a publicly listed company, and the two biggest are Oleo Fats, located in FIT. We have a new expansion plant. It's now called Premium Foods, and the other one is Natura Aeropac. And of course, we do have partner firms like Circa. At the middle is our advocacy in terms of SDGs. And of course, supporting all these efforts is our CSR arm, the Law Foundation Institute. Next slide, please. Okay. At the core of our commitment, of course, definitely is the farm, the farmer, the families, and the communities around. So everything else that we do should be around all these important and critical and crucial elements. Remember, for us, sustainability is beyond facts and figures. It is about people. It is about faces. Next, please. Okay. We've been in circulation for more than a decade. In fact, last year we celebrated our 60 years. So behind it, of course, definitely is a history with dedication and determination to make a difference, not just for society in general, but more specifically the coconut farmers. Next slide, please. Okay. We have only 3 strategies. One is ensure earth and environmental care. The other one is the creation of an ecosystem of enablers. And the other one, the last one is, of course, strengthening seeds of synergy with participating organizations and institutions. Next, please. Okay. In details, this is what we propose to do over a period of 3 years. This is some kind of an overarching umbrella framework for all the different business units. Next slide, please. Of course, this putting faces and people behind our sustainability efforts. Remember, it's not just initiatives and innovations from the consumer production of goods, but it's sustainability right at the very heart of it. And that's why we have what we call our advocacy, sowing the seeds of sustainability. And this is a real story. Our CSR projects from Kamaligin, Bicol to Caldong in the Quezon province. It's a joint S Stories, Sustainable Stories by Natura Elpac, Lao Foundation, and of course, Premium Foods. See behind Mount Mayon. Next, please. Next slide, please. Okay. So this is an innovation actually in the industry. We have Caldong. It's sitting right at the foot of Mount Mayon, and its biggest problem is having potable water. Okay, when we saw that need, so we instituted and we established what we call a solar-operated potable water. It's practically the best, the best there is when it comes to solar-operated potable water. It's more than 3 kilometer long of pipes, 10 tap stands, and one big tank. And for no electricity to pay, we get to supply waters across 3 barangays. Next, please. Okay. And after that initiative, then we started out what we call Baranggulayan. No, it's some kind of intercropping program, raising poultry, even piggery, just to help the farmers augment their income. Next, please. Here is our effort when we continue that crusade right at the Sierra Madre Mountains in Quezon, Caldong. You have there around 300 hectares of seed planting. Next, please. And you would see we have foreign partners participating with our initiative. And with this particular barangay, all these are resettlement people from Calamba. Now they are located in Quezon, Sampaloc, Quezon, and we provided them some kind of a Baranggulayan project. And definitely that was an added income to the local community. Next, please. And from that special community also, we were able to kind of encourage 12 of our scholars. We have what we call an E2E program, education to employment. You see on the top left, okay, it's also the first in the industry where you have first industrial park in Tanawan is 130-bed dormitory we put up for our own workers, no? And for the record, we're only asking them 800. It has a recreational hall, a kitchen, a basketball court, all for our workers. Next, please. And you could see on the right-hand up our plant. That's our new plant right below. And this is what we call our multi-skilling program. After the multi-skilling program, these scholars of ours would tend to have what we call more than minimum wage earning. They go through almost 2 years of multi-skilling program, from quality assurance to maintenance to mechatronics to electronics to electricity, and even what we call basic operational chemistry. Next, please. At the end of the day, we do have a story. We'd like to share with you this story. Let's play this one, please.
Marahay na aga, dagos po kamo sa Don Bosco Legazpi.
Don Bosco Legazpi started its conceptualization on 1998. At na-realize po ang dream na ito noong 2001 sa tulong po ng Diocese of Legazpi sa pamumuno ni the late Bishop Sora and with our Salesian representative, Brother Louis Parolin. So, ang main niya ay para po sa mga anak ng mga magsasaka. At ito po ang trust ng Don Bosco for poverty alleviation. Then, moving forward, nagkaroon po kami ng partnership with Lao Foundation last 2020. At nagkaroon po kami ng first graduates namin noong 2022 sa DTS program po. Ano po yung DTS program? Yan yung Dual Training System na ang programa po ay may ilang buwan sila sa 18 months po ito, may ilang buwan po sila sa kumpanya at may ilang buwan rin po sila sa school. At kami po nagpapasalamat sa Lao Foundation dahil natulungan po nila itong mga batang ito umasenso ng konti sa kanya-kanyang buhay at matulungan ang kanilang pamilya sa kahirapan.
Kung itatanong natin, ano ba ang kakaibahan o yung tinatawag nating specific difference siguro ng mga Don Bosco training centers? Long time ago, may nakausap akong president ng isang foundation. At ang sabi niya sa akin, alam mo Father, kung pag-usapan lang natin ay ang quality ng training, pwede naman akong makahanap ng ibang mga training centers. Pero bakit pinili namin ang Don Bosco? Kasi sa values formation. So, yaan ang nagugustuhan namin. Yan ang nagiging magandang effect sa inyong mga graduates. I think that there are two reasons kung bakit mahalaga ang video na ginagawang ito tungkol kay Ryan. Yung una, isa itong pagkilala sa tagumpay ni Ryan sapagkat sa kanyang paglagi sa Kemres, hindi naman smooth sailing, hindi ba? So, madaming pagsubok at paghamon ang dumating sa kanyang buhay. Pero hindi siya nagpatalo, hinarap niya at nalampasan niya. At yun ay bilang model, inspirasyon, huwaran para sa mga kabataan. Sa katunayan, ginagamit ko ang kwento ni Ryan para maging inspiration at model ng mga Bosconian trainees dito sa Don Bosco.
Okay. Sermon?
Video because the last portion is about the scholar, no, who because of his education is now able to help yung kanyang family. That should be okay.
Okay. Sige, sir. So, thank you for your presentation, sermon. And to complete their team presentation, we now move on to Sir Glenn Apostol of Natura Airpac Corporation.
All right, so thank you for the invitation for CIRCA and EPSA. My topic is about green chemistry. I would like to broaden in the coconut value chain. I would assume this is a very enlightening topic, especially to those who are green-minded like me. So my agenda is to introduce you or a brief introduction about green chemistry. Coconut oil, a renewable and sustainable feedstock. And then I will walk through you about the green chemistry approaches in the coconut value chain and then key takeaways. All right, so I just Googled these 12 principles of green chemistry. And green chemistry, as you know, is approach in the chemical sciences that efficiently uses renewable materials, eliminating waste and avoiding the use of toxic and hazardous reagents and solvents in the manufacture and application of chemical products. So green chemistry takes into account the environmental impact and seeks to prevent or lessen the impact through several key principles. You may see in this illustration that you can spot 4 keywords: safe, less, process, and waste. Meaning process or solvents or raw materials that are safer, using less chemicals, energy, and solvents, processes that is more efficient, better catalytic system, prevents waste generation, a simpler chemical transformation, and possibly if you can generate waste that are degradable in nature and able to monitor emissions and process control. So the aim of green chemistry actually is to reduce risk reduction or reduce risk through reduction of hazards. So very simple. Green chemistry, the main approach of green chemistry or the main objective of green chemistry is the reduction of hazards. All right. Coconut oil is a renewable, safe, and sustainable feedstock or raw materials to creating products that can be used in many applications or industries, including food, oleochemicals, cosmetics, fuel, agriculture, livestock, and other applications. Most consumer products that you buy or use in many homes may contain coconut ingredients, beginning from the bath shampoo that you use every day, the cooking oil, or margarine spreads that you use for your snacks, the delicious chicken curry tastes better with coconut milk or gata, or even the famous coconut water and MCT oil in the sports nutrition is gaining popularity because of its health benefits for the brain and body. Coconut oil as a feedstock has one of the lowest carbon footprint compared to palm oil and other petrochemical feedstocks. Coconut oil has a unique chemistry and a perfect substitute for petrochemicals in making essential goods for a lot of industries. If you see here, coconut oil, the carbon equivalent of coconut oil is 0.55 compared to crude palm oil, which is about 0.64 to 1.13, depending on the process applied during the manufacturing. Now, this is more important nowadays because of the international scientific consensus that in order to prevent worse damages due to climate change, global net human cost emissions of carbon dioxide need to fall by about 50% in 2030 and reaching net zero emission by 2050. A deeper examination of an oleochemicals and specialty fats manufacturing facility offer a huge challenge to all of us. How do we ensure that basic coconut products or ingredients is made available to our clients or consumers while minimizing or zeroing the risk of being exposed to chemical hazards, violent chemical processes, and managing hazardous waste? In order to maintain the momentum, we need to be in tune and embrace new technologies or practices such as green chemistry in order to develop products that are safer to the environment and consumer. There are emerging green technologies waiting to be exploited and carried out in commercial scales. I highlighted 2 major products that researchers, innovators can take a look into. First is coconut oil. Coconut oil itself, because Philippines is one of the biggest exporter of coconut oil globally. In terms of production, we're the second or third biggest in the world, and the export value is about 2 billion US dollar annually. For the biodiesel, as you may know, we are a 2% blend, but coming October 2024, it will increase to 3%, a year after 4%, and a year after by 2026 to about 5%. Imagine the volume that it offers to producers of coconut oil and even to the growers of coconut. So I'm going to share with you some insights on how to apply green chemistry in the coconut value chain, beginning from the coconut farm level to consumer pack products. All industry stakeholders must examine and continuously innovate across the value chain. The farm level, for example, should start adopting sustainable agriculture. Coconut productivity is continuously declining due to old trees, poor nutrition, climate change, and perennial pest problems. Farmers or growers have to realize that transitioning from conventional farm practices and too much dependency on synthetic inputs will damage the soil and will render the crop senile in the long run. The use of biorational pesticides, compost fertilizers, and microbial-based inputs will bring back the biological health of the soil, thereby invigorating crop resiliency against climate change, pests and diseases, and eventually increase productivity. Green chemistry, when applied in production, manufacturing sector, can address regulatory challenges, product quality improvement, and strategy to sell products at premium price. It can also add income to the company by upcycling or repurposing co-products into higher value application, such as a copra meal for livestock or coconut shell as energy source. The use of renewable fuel as energy source will reduce carbon emission and promotes overall efficiency of the facility. The advantage of using physical or enzymatic processes, such as enzymatic VCO, reduces the hazardous chemicals used in the manufacturing. It can lower processing temperatures and avoidance of impurities that requires additional refining steps. For example, the use of bio-based lubricants ensures cleaner coconut oil that is mineral-free, which is now required by the European Food Safety Authority when exporting coconut products or related products in the EU market. There are emerging manufacturing processes to replace the traditional chemical catalytic process in making advanced oleochemicals. For example, enzymatic splitting of fatty acids have been claimed by major players who are engaged in microbial-mediated technologies. Microwave techniques have been commercialized by few companies in making special esters. And then recently, we have investigated a solvent-free or a methanol-free process of making coconut biodiesel using photocatalytic method. Another approach would be waste valorization or upcycling technologies that can add value in integrated facility as you're able to convert waste product or co-products into a more valuable form rather than throwing into a waste treatment facility. A good example is recycling co-products such as cocoa fatty acid distillates, acid oil, or soap stock, which are common in any coconut refining facility, and converting it back into renewable fuel such as biodiesel. Recently, there is adoption of digital transformation, or we call it smart manufacturing, which improves real-time decision-making, enhance productivity, and overall efficiency of the facility. This is now adopted by many manufacturing companies known as Industry 4.0. And finally, a consumer product is what the end user put so much value. Many consumers contain ingredients that may be overkill or unnecessary. Ingredient substitution that are more functional and adapting simpler formulation will benefit not only the consumer due to lower retail costs, but to brand owners or companies as they are able to eliminate substances that may be even harmful in the formulations in the long run. When you couple it with innovations on packaging by using post-consumer recycled plastics or biopolymers, has been a necessary step towards reducing plastic pollution that pollute our water resources. So how are we doing it in our facility? So beginning from coconut oil refining, oleochemicals manufacturing, up to concept formulations and private labeling, we expose or we embed green chemistry touch in all these major operations in our facility. This is a photo of our next generation smart factory. So this factory is situated in a 24 hectares facility. It's geared toward exporting coconut products that are competitive in the global market. So as a key takeaways, green chemistry promotes sustainable future. It is beneficial to the environment and the people and to the business in the long term. There are several emerging green chemistry strategies in the coconut value chain. A collaborative effort by industry, academia, and government is needed to promote the adoption of green chemistry technologies. Coconut oil is a perfect feedstock in the creation of greener, sustainable, and smarter ingredients. That's all, and thank you very much for your kind attention.
Thank you very much, Sir Mon and Sir Glenn. So, um, it's my first time actually to really know about green chemistry. So it's interesting to know, um, I only know the products, but the green chemistry, the benefits of green chemistry that I just learned now. So, may I invite our panelists to please open their cameras for the open forum, and we will now open the floor for questions. Okay, let me just okay. Thank you. So welcome back, Sir Joel Jerome. Okay. Okay, so we've actually collected some questions already from our participants. So let me first ask this question to our representatives from PCA. We have a question here. How many makapuno germplasm accessions does PCA ZRC conserve? And is it possible to acquire nuts of these makapuno accessions?
As for the makapuno, we have actually the kabuwig makapuno, as well as the kabuwig is the variety that yield 25% to 30% of makapuno in a bunch. And we have also the embryo-cultured makapuno, those makapuno that could yield 75% to 90% of makapuno in a bunch. However, if so the second question, if we could acquire seed nuts of this makapuno. If it's for food utilization, you can. But if it's for propagation, however, if it's for propagation, makapuno is not cannot be propagated through makapuno, through seed nuts. So what we have here is the embryo-cultured one, the at the polybag stage. So you could acquire that, but at 500 pesos per polybag seedlings. So I think that's all.
In addition to what Sir JM has said, so basically the advantage, as he mentioned a while ago, we have the kabuwig type of makapuno, which yields up to 25%. So the advantage of the embryo-cultured makapuno seedlings is you could have a projected yield of 75 to almost 100% makapuno nuts.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Sir Jessimar and Mr. Joel. So I hope we've answered that question from the participants. So let me ask this next for Sir Glenn and Sir Mon. So how can innovations in coconut processing technologies like the green chemistry enhance value addition and improve income for coconut farmers? So I think we've explained it in the value chain, but maybe you can provide examples.
Sister Body, would you like to answer or?
No, in alphabetical order, Pistol.
Okay, all right. I guess to me, if you are able to increase the productivity, for example, number of nuts produced per year, our average, I guess, correct me, PCA people, if you're correct, if I'm correct, it's about 50 nuts per year, right? So if you are able to double that, or only half, make it to 75 nuts per tree per year by using proper nutrition, that will increase the income of a farmer on the farmer level. On the business side, we have to do it. We have no choice not to adopt green chemistry. Why? Because I was not able to mention in my early presentation that in the global arena now, all exporters or producers of coconut related products, you have to provide sustainability report. And green chemistry can help you develop a sustainable future. Better processes, waste valorization, and so forth and so on. These are income stream that can be tapped by many coconut producers or manufacturers. So the whole chain, adopting green chemistry may be very costly in the beginning,
Mm.
but if you take a look as a whole holistic approach, you will save savings in the long run.
Okay, let me continue that one by going to the very source, no? How do we add income streams or income capacity to the farmers and the farm level also? Well, currently we're working on what we call white copra. Our guys from Zamboanga know about this. So with the white copra, there is some kind of an administrative order putting some premium. Okay, in the next 2 or 3 years, I think the use of the traditional tapahan will be banned because that's carcinogenic. But beyond compliance is coming up with more quality oil, and the only way to go is come up with what we call white copra production. And then our advocacy, of course, nowadays, because of the recently passed law, CFIDP, so we'd like to deal with farmer cooperatives. And in the equation, we try to come out with a broker-less transaction. Kumbaga, we enable these farmers to eventually even come up with their own oils and sell them directly to us without going to a broker, a trader, because I think some 1/3% of the total price it goes to the broker. So can you imagine the amount of money gained and the amount of income earned without the broker? But of course, we are not totally doing away with the broker. They play their part. We are trying to integrate them into the system, and there is a way to do it, no? And lastly, of course, as Glenn was saying, uh, instead of the 5-year growing period, we have 3.5 instead of the usual, let's say just right now, we are, I mean, yesterday I was at Tayabas, no, with the TCA group. So we are adopting their what we call a high density, planting scheme. So from the traditional 150 trees per hectare, you can come out with something like 400 trees per hectare. Plus triple the production, there you have more income for the farmer. So all these are initiatives and innovations in order to help farmer not just go into farming, but become, that's why we call what people co firm, So you look at them as entrepreneurs running firms, not farms, but firms. So they become entrepreneurs, and from that perspective, they get to earn more money.
Okay. So you've mentioned, sir, that DNL will be partnering with farmer groups and cooperatives, right?
Yes, yes.
Yes, sir.
Remember, one of the
Yeah.
companies of DNL is Chemres.
Yes, yes, sir.
Chemres is the company that we have in Quezon City, but the expansion company in Batangas is what we call Natura Aeropac, no? So Chemres is the country's biggest manufacturer of biodiesel. And for every liter that we produce, we give Dole. Can you imagine Dole? We remit to Dole 5 centavos per liter. The fund is around 100 million. And we have access to that as biodiesel manufacturer. And through our assistance, we can come up with projects. In fact, yung mga taga-Sambuagang kaibigan namin dito, nabubulok lang din yung solar dryer nyo, pakibit na lamang sa Tagkawayan para mapakinabangan natin. Okay, so we are ready to fund all those undertakings, no? And in fact, we're trying to come up with means in order to really push through with the white copra. Several efforts have been done in the past. I think the best that we have done so far is the one in Zamboanga. Baka maging museum na yan, padala nyo na lang dito sa Quezon, mapapakinabangan pa natin. Sir Joel, Sir Jesse, pwede bang sumumpa kayo na ipapadala nyo pagkatapos?
We'll
And
have
of course,
to
on top of
rearrange.
that are our scholarship programs, what we call
Okay.
E2E. It's a full cycle program. We provide them scholarship, we provide them internship, apprenticeship, what we call in-plant training in our company, and the best of the very best, we hire them. So the cycle is complete.
Okay, sir.
And we see to it that we have scholars all around the region, no? In Quezon, Bicol, we have scholars. And our partner schools are Don Bosco and Dualtech. For now, I think we've around 300 of them. And in the company, we've absorbed around 150 of them occupying various jobs. So remember, ours is a smart factory, so it makes sense that our people are technically savvy. And you can have technical people without resorting to engineers by hiring tech people. Very fact also that Duotech and Don Bosco are very best recognized for their formation program, kaya sila pinukuha namin. No offense to our agricultural engineer, to our mechanical engineer, to our chemical engineer, but we try to hire tech people. Mas simple yung buhay nila.
Yeah. So thank you for sharing that, sermon, because we have some farmer groups that are present here today with us. So maybe they're interested in collaborating with Camres or with DNL and Natura Aeropac. Yun po. So okay. We have more questions here. Okay, I'll come back to PCA. We have a participant here from Malaysia. So in Malaysia, we are lacking of Tagnanan coconut as pollen source. Is there any possibility to cooperate and bring Taganan seedlings to Malaysia? So is it possible to export those seeds?
That is a very good question, no? But however, matured coconut seedlings, matured coconut or matured seedlings or any other planting materials related to coconut is prohibited for export. Pursuant to, I think it's Pre-Say Board Resolution number 053, 2011, as well as PD 1644, Presidential Decree 1644. Yeah, so it is included in the list of prohibited for export.
If I may compliment that on very personal experience, you know, I had a classmate at the Asian Institute of Management. He finished agriculture in the UPLB, and he rose in his career. He was in the Malaysian palm oil, you know, government hierarchy, so holding a very crucial position. One time we met, and he called me and said, "Mon, can you send me Tagnanan?" You know, I was so excited to be able to send Tagnanan, but when I asked my PCA friend, sorry, we cannot do that. It's against the law. So that's the blunt and brutal answer we would like to share, but I think for biosafety reasons and for other reasons, we can just ship out those seedlings and varieties.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you, sirs. Going back to sermons, sharing earlier. So someone asked here, are there any green chemistry trainings conducted? Sermon and Sir Glenn. Maybe outside of your priority areas.
Glenn is the greener.
Because, for example, on manufacturing, sometimes these are intellectual property that sometimes we do not share. So in general, we can talk general green chemistry. But when it comes to specifics already, like process, how did you are able to valorize your waste? How did you improve your catalytic process to, for example, improve the quality of biodiesel or to satisfy the strict requirements of exporting coconut product to Europe, for example? These are the things that we can no longer talk about. So, in general, yes, and probably on the farm level, it is. I guess it's more. I would say it's more open because there are a lot of funded researchers or researchers by university, the PCA, and this can be consumed by the public. But in terms of manufacturing, I would say it's not very open when it terms to sharing how we do it, the green chemistry technology.
It's like a trade secret.
Right, right.
Okay, sir. But for example, they want a training conducted. Do they invite you, or how do they contact Natura Europa? Or do you does the company hold trainings? Or do they invite you as as a research speaker?
Can be invited. We can probably talk about more of general and not
Yeah,
specific.
yeah.
Uh, Sometimes we also allow people visiting our facility to see our internal capability. That can be a special request with, of course, Sir Ramon Tañola.
Okay. Thank you, sir. Sir Mon, do you want to add something?
No, he is the best person for that.
Okay. 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 So this one is for PCA again. So what is the extent of varietal inventory and diversity studies collection done in Northern Luzon? Since this participant is from northwestern part of Ilocos Norte, where coconut is also an important crop. So they would like to enrich their coconut gene pool in the area. Yeah. The extent of varietal inventory and diversity studies done in Northern Luzon.
Siguro maybe JM later on could add, but I'll
Okay.
start first that we have few accessions collected from Northern Luzon, particularly on Cagayan, Ilocos. Is Sanchez Mira also part of the Northern Luzon?
Sanchez.
Yes, yes. But there are still ongoing collection studies. Maybe JM could add to this collection activities in terms of capturing other types of coconut that could be part of the local diversity collection here in Zamboanga Research Center.
Yeah. We have actually an ongoing projects this year, collection of accessions at the farmers field, important accessions at the farmers field. Although on the northern part of Luzon, we have not included it because this has been done the few decades ago. So we have collected from Sanchez Mira. We have Ilocos Sur, actually Ilocos Sur, Ilocos Tol. We have actually Ilocos Tol. We have Sanchez Mira and few accessions. But as to the increase of the number of accession or gene pool in the northern part, the PCA actually is have this program of planting replanting, and they are actually requesting seed nuts here at the Zamboanga Research Center. So probably the next succeeding years or this year probably we will be going to send at least few outstanding populations at the northern part of Luzon.
Okay, thank you, sirs. Okay, we have a question here for DNL, for Sir Glenn and Sir Mon. So I think Sir Glenn already mentioned coconut oil as an example of green product of green chemistry earlier, but this participant is interested. What actually are the products and byproducts produced from green chemistry other than exported coconut oils?
For example, in a coconut refining facility, you always generate a co-product. Normally, they are termed as coconut fatty acid distillate if you are doing a physical refining process. If you're doing a chemical refining process, they call it soap stocks. And if you are doing biodiesel, they call it acid oil. And in its form, they are very, very cheap raw material. So in our case, we have developed several processes to bring back its like a virgin state as a starting material to come up with a high value oleochemicals. Like for example, a product that we can develop out of that non-coconut oil or non-food grade application is we're able to make surfactant. The shampoo or the powder detergent or the bar soap that you use in your home, bakit mabula, nakakapaglinis, And that is an example of using a surfactant in your home care products. That's just an example. But we've been doing this in the company for more than 15 years now.
Okay, thank you, sir. And in connection to that, I think you've also mentioned earlier that if green chemistry is applied in the whole value chain, it might be costly, no? So this participant is curious. How do you foresee, this is for Sir Glenn and Sir Mon. So how do you foresee the adoption of green chemistry impacting the overall sustainability and marketability of coconut-derived products in the Philippines?
Sermon, you want to answer?
Your turn.
All right. Okay.
Your turn.
In the industry, whenever we improve or adapt process, may it be green chemistry or not, it's normally to satisfy a very specific requirement of a customer, or it could be to comply with a strict regulatory requirement, for example, in Europe. So when you adopt a green chemistry, it has to always be, begin with the end in mind. So if I do this, how will I be able to recover the investment? All right. So for example, as I mentioned a while ago, all exported coconut oil products in the Europe, for example, is now required to report the mineral contaminants, mineral oil, mineral oil contamination. All right. And this is brought about by beginning in the farm. The pesticides that you use, this contains mineral oil. When you extract the oil, you use a lot of lubricant. When you go to the mill, you use a lot of greases and so forth and so on. So imagine the expense you need to spend beginning from harvesting the coconut all the way to the supply chain. But you have to make sure that once you achieve the quality requirement of the customer, are you able to sell it at a premium price? It has to be. It has to be. Otherwise, it will be a very expensive exercise. So what I'm trying to say is it should always be market driven in order to easily adapt or implement green chemistry approach in your value chain. But not only that, not only satisfying customer requirement, as I mentioned a while ago, uh, for us exporting coconut ingredient products, we need to report the carbon footprint of every products that we sell, and it's now beginning in the global chain. If we don't do that, what will happen? You will be replaced. You will be take out from the supply chain as a supplier A. You will become supplier C or D. So sometimes it's also driven by the changing landscape of the global arena. So it could be in the long run, not if you see it, not you're not able to recover the investment immediately, but in the long run, it will keep you afloat. It will keep you in the supply chain. So either you do it or you die in the in the coconut industry.
Okay, thank you, sir. So it's a matter of balancing the customer needs, the client needs, and the needs of the global market, of the global arena. So thank you, sir, for that. While we'd love to continue the discussion, we have another session coming up. So we're limited on time this afternoon. So for my last question, this is for all our speakers. How can collaboration between research institutions, the government, and the local farmers be improved to ensure that innovations are effectively implemented at the grassroots level? So this is for everyone. This is like a Miss Universe question.
Let me answer that. No,
Yes, sir,
I'd
Mon.
like it to be very specific in a way, and I'll put the proper context. Right now, our latest and newest plant is in Batangas. What happened in Batangas? They closed down the biggest sugar mill, and that leaves lots of empty lots. Used to be sugarcane fields. Okay, and this is where our advocacy, our assurance, telling the farmers we did not build a 12 billion factory for nothing. So that is the strongest and most tangible testimony that there is demand. And because of this demand, it is okay if you venture into this new opportunity. So Batangas is in crisis because uh, where will you provide? How will you provide to the empty lots? No, these are sugarcane farmers. They cannot plant sugarcane anymore because there is no azucarera, there is no Don Pedro. So this is where we come, and in cooperation with the local government, luckily, we have the support of our governor and, of course, the assistance of our local PCA, regional and provincial. And together, remember, one of our strategies is, sow the seeds of synergy. Diba? So there should be synergy among these three vital, crucial institutions, again, for the benefit and for the greater good of the farmer. So that is putting context in how and where we can collaborate as crucial institutions.
Okay. Sir,
So,
yes.
so on the research institution side, we acknowledge that there are lots of aspects or areas that can be researched with coconut, but we are always instructed that we always gear our research, as mentioned, as also emphasized by Sir Glenn, to be market responsive or meeting the needs of the industry, as well as not also the incidents, as well as considering also the needs of the local farmers. And we through also with the efforts and collaboration with the government and even the academies, we could translate those researches to technologies and technologies that could be applied to the industry and the farmer levels.
Sir Jessimar and then Sir Glenn.
So yeah, as actually we can improve actually if probably if between the research institutions, government, if we are to engage them, the farmers early as much as possible during the research process, to at least strengthen communications between the research and farmers, because what we have really the problem with research is there's a huge gap between research to extension. So that gap must be closed, and then so because once that gap between research and extension will be closed, farmers will benefit it definitely. So I think we have to also create policies and incentives that would promote the adoption of these new technologies. Although the adoption side of the farmers is the crucial part, because even though we are developing uh, lots and lots of innovative technologies, but if this technology is not that, if those farmers are not adapted to that new technologies, wala pa rin. So I think going back, we have to engage them as early as possible.
Sir Glenn?
For me, if there will be a collaboration between industry, academe, and of course with policy from the government, it has to be a need-based research. Once it has a need-based research, I guess the effort will be more meaningful. And if you are doing a project, for example, PCA, correct me if I'm wrong, the current administration expressed planting 100 million coconut trees. Is that correct? Until 2028. So on the research side, how can we provide seedlings enough to plant the 100 million as expressed by the current administration? All right. So if you pull all the resources, all the studies that have already been done, somatic embryogenesis, uh, all the techniques, right? Because if it's implemented in the next 5 years, down the line, manufacturing, exporting companies and so forth and so on, they will benefit with the program. So this is if it's a need-based research, I guess we won't go wrong. We won't go wrong. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, sirs. I know I said that that's my last question, but we have a last question here, for PCA. So, um, wait. Okay. So, our participants would like to know, what are your challenges? What challenges have you encountered in preserving coconut germplasm?
So currently, the status here in the Zamboanga Research
Mhm.
Center, first is we only have the field gene bank. So as we all know that the field gene bank is prone to lots of challenges. One are the pests, typhoons and droughts. So the locally conserved here accessions are exposed to a lot of threats. So we are currently looking into other forms of initiatives like ex situ conservation. So maybe JM could also add something.
Yeah. We are actually eyeing to at least cryopreservation. Yeah. Because as Sir Joel have mentioned, the field gene bank, for any crops, field gene bank of any crops, for the specific coconut is very exposed to biotic and abiotic stresses. So that is the very main challenges in maintaining a field gene bank. So right now we are eyeing for cryopreservation, but if we are going to do that, we are not going to establish the cryopreservation here in Zamboanga, because that will just intensify the the challenges. So most likely in other areas, probably in uh, Quezon City. We are eyeing Quezon City in the Laboratory Service Division of the PCA. So yeah.
Okay. Thank you very much, Sir Joel, Sir Jessimar, Sir Glenn, and Sir Mon. So we've got I know we've there are many questions here. But we've gathered all your questions, and we will be sending this to our resource speakers so they can respond, and perhaps we can email you their responses. So thank you once again to our panelists for their valuable insights, and to our audience for your engaging questions. So it's clear that innovation in the coconut sector is not only about increasing productivity, but also about sustainability, as we've discussed, and enhancing the livelihood of our farmers. So we hope today's discussion has provided you with a new perspective and ideas that you can take forward in your work. So let's now transition to our next session, which will focus on the research and innovation in the corn sector. So I'll hand it over to our host, Sir Ryan. Over to you.
Thank you, Dane. And of course, thank you to our speakers, Sir Joel, Sir Glenn, Sir Jess, at kay Sir Mon. And now, to moderate po the next panel, no, please welcome our moderator from PPSA, wala pong iba, Miss Drina Mayri de Jesus. Miss Drina, good afternoon.
Thank you, Sir Rai. After talking about coconuts, we can now talk about corn. Corn is a crucial crop for food security and economic stability in the Philippines, but like many agricultural sectors, it faces significant challenges. Today's panelists will introduce cutting-edge solutions, from potential of digital technologies in combating pest outbreaks to advanced breeding techniques that are helping to transform the corn sector. After the panelists' presentation, we'll also open the floor for a Q&A session. So please feel free to type your questions in the chat, and we will address them later in the Q&A session. We will be joined by the following panelists. First is Mr. Cyrus Isles, Head of Public Affairs at Bayer Crop Science Philippines, who will discuss transformative corn innovations. Second is Dr. Elida Ruiz Viagalan, the Dean for Distance, Open, and Transnational University of Central Luzon State University, who will talk about the PES DTech project. And lastly, we will also be joined by Dr. Clarissa B. Juanico, the Associate Professor and Bidani Program Leader from the Institute of Human Nutrition and Food College of the Human Ecology of the University of the Philippines, Los Baños, who will share insights on using nixtamalized corn for food and nutrition security. So, to start off the discussion, may we call on our first panelist, Sir Cyrus.
Thank you, PPSA and also Circa for again for inviting Bayer Crop Science to also be part of this learning session. So I guess I'm coming here to really share more insights from what the private sector is doing from in terms of new corn technologies, and to really share, provide some specific areas of innovations and corn innovations that we're forwarding and advancing in the context of the corn sector. So to also sort of give a context in this one, so I'll be largely focusing not just only from the private sector point of view, but also mostly from largely from the yellow corn point of view of the corn industry sector. So if you go to the next slide, third slide here. Yes, thank you. It's important, I guess, to define first. Next slide, please. To define first, where we are in terms of, and to give context in terms of why we're doing what we're doing from Bayer side and from the private sector's point of view. We know that, just to perhaps summarize this slide, is that agriculture is in a very critical juncture or crossroads, that is being pressured from different ecosystems and environments, from a rise of population, and at the same time from changing dynamics from climate, and at the same time from the loss of specific soil nutrients, and at the same time from high usage of water. So there are different pressure points that are really putting enough that are also bringing a lot of pressure to our food systems, that really requires our growers not to really require them to produce more, while at the same time requiring them to use less of water, and at the same time using less of inputs, while at the same time taking notice of the need to also restore more to our ecosystems, given the depleting resources from water, from soil depletion of health, and at the same time, of course, from the decreasing loss of arable land. Hindi naman lumalaki yung ating mga land resources. So how do we really how do we leverage on technologies to make sure that we continue to produce while addressing the needs of our growing population, and at the same time from our environment. So given this context, I hope to define in the next slide, please. What is basically give a top line approach, a broad overview in terms of how we're approaching and what we're doing as Bayer. So for us, the future, given this context that I've just underlined earlier in the slide, the future of farming, the way that Bayer defines it, is really on the regenerative side. So regenerative agriculture, the future of farming, is really defined in terms of two points, so which I want to highlight. One, when we define and when we bring about the concept of regen ag, it's all about outcome based. It has to drive specific outputs, the one that you see on the right side, the right panel of this slide, which is includes yield, of course, economic well-being of our farmers, the need to produce more. So, but at the same time, as given in the context now with the changing climate, it also has to restore more or bring back the improved soil health, how to adapt better to the climate change, and while at the same time conserving the limited resources that we have from water, and also from to restore more to our biodiversity. So when we say Region Ag, from the point of view of Bayer, it's more to pursue this more outcome based. It's more measurable, and it's more tangible, no, to and really outcome driven, no, approach, no, when we want to really change, no, how we farm next, no, for agriculture. How can we define? How can we drive these results or outcomes, no, are on the left side, no, which are our solutions and our enablers. So in GIS, no, all of these solutions, no, are system based, no. So that's the second point. Region Ag, as we define it, isn't just only outcome based, but at the same time systems based. There's no one size fits all solution for all of our problems when it comes to depleting water resources, to our soil. So when we try to manage or to solve all of the to try to contribute to managing the stresses or from against our crops, no, we employ different technologies, no, may it be from crop. So you have here, which I hope, which I'll touch on later on, is the short stature corn, hybrid wheat, no, driven by our innovative gene editing tools and precision breeding. But in encompassing, since there's no one size fits all, so we'll also be leveraging on other inputs, no, such as biotechnology, gene editing, all of these tools, no, and that includes also the use of digital carbon farming and new chemicals or new chemistries for our crop protection. So we drive these outcomes. No, a key point to drive at this slide is that we can only drive these outcomes by using a systems-wide approach. No, you leverage on different enablers. If you go to the next slide, I guess before I present to you how does the future look for our farming, I think it's important to also take stock in terms of where we are or what we have come through in terms of from the Philippine, his legacy of yellow corn. So we are actually the first, no, in the country, no, in Southeast Asia, if not perhaps, no, for the Asia Pacific to really plant biotech corn in 2003. So and since then the legacy has continued and has really driven a lot of key outcomes, no? And right now, I mean, area of prompt planting hectareage, no, for biotech corn is around more than 1 million, with 900,000 Filipino farmers that are now benefiting from the technology that we have introduced 20 years ago. So right now we continue to innovate, we continue to bring innovative solutions, no, to the market, no, that the farmers need to really adjust, no, to the different climates. So now we have different approvals, no, for food, feed, and cultivation for 105 events, no, for our biotech corn. What has, looking back, I mean, what has delivered, no, and hooking it back, no, to the Region Ag, no, about how we drive outcome-based, no, outcomes, no, for agriculture. Since introduction of the corn, no, from our industry, so we have seen 40% more on average, no, yield gains versus conventional corn. And how does it contribute to regenerative or restorative agriculture? By using these technologies, no, in the Philippines, so you also enable less tilling because most of the corns that we introduce are herbicide tolerant. So now they are so there's more less, no, to till or to disturb the soil, no, because of that practice. It also reduces use of pesticides because much of them are really already resistant to specific pests and diseases, and at the same time because of this specific reduction in the use of pesticides, and at the same time from less stealing, you also save labor time for it. If you go to the next slide, I think this is a powerful image, no, in terms of like how we're really driving inputs, no, for our for the future of corn farming. 1940s, more than I don't know, 80 years na ba, since we have driven yung intensification of agriculture by the use of plant biotechnology and innovations, constant innovations, we have lessened the use of land resources, no, and for the same amount of crops, no, or the growth to crops, no, for corn. And this is very promising, and it's very game changer, no, for our farmers, no, to really, as we lower the use of land, or as we decrease the amount of land, which hindi naman talaga lumalaki, no, sa atin, especially in our context of the Philippines. Also, what it also means is that just only we reduce or decrease, no, the required land, but at the same time, with a small plot of land, we also reduce the amount of water, the amount of crop protection, the amount of inputs that we use for this. So looking ahead, for the corn innovations, for what we see as relevant for the for us, in this conversation, if you go to the next slide, now looking ahead, for the corn innovations for the corn sector, this is how we're driving new breakthrough technologies, from Beer side. We believe that, again, there are different technologies that we're leveraging to really drive new corn innovations, and it all starts, on the leftmost panel, which is understanding really the customer insights. So now we're leveraging on more data. We believe that, for the future of farming will be driven by more data, by more insights, but what really happens in the field. These are minefield of information and knowledge that would inform future decisions for the development of new corn varieties. So now we're leveraging on new, what we call proprietary field view technology, which really scans the whole agronomic production for different crops, that we produce in the market. So understanding what the needs are in the field, may it be from more soil, nutrients, for requiring more productivity, need for water, for other resources. And these are complemented further with other infrastructure, other tools, that we leverage as Bayer. So you have here different innovations, that we're also trying to use, so once we have the data from our side, so we use different AI, machine learning, genomic insights. Imagine a library of genes, for corn, and you get to choose, what specific traits, you need, for the farm level. And that's how Bayer is doing it. With the collection of the widest germplasm for corn, we now get to really identify, ano yung specific traits, or varieties that's needed for a specific region, and combining it with different books, or content, so that we can mix and match, that is also needed by their farmers. So all of this, are being driven by AI, by data, by digital. And if you look at here on the farther right side, so there's more on breeding methods. So now we're designing. We do have a Marana protected culture, which is a controlled environment where we test, different varieties, for extreme pressure points, from water, which uses less water, less inputs. So that's where we test it in the Arizona, in US, in other parts of Asia Pacific. And actually, we have here in the Philippines too, a breeding research center, not this kind of advanced, but where we constantly test, and improvise, how we deliver our products to the market. So all of these, using these technologies, we hope to accelerate the breeding cycle for our new corn technologies that we want to introduce, to the market. If you go to the next slide, please. I'll just siguro pasadahan ko na lang. But again, to drive again the point on systems approach. So another, I think, crucial corn innovation here is on the use of cover crest system. This is part of what we call a precision smart corn system. So smart corn system encompasses, again, different technologies, and part of complementing the corn innovations is the use of cover crest. So cover crest is basically a cover crop, that can be used and can be converted for aviation and industrial transportation sector. So that while farmers are waiting for the production of their for corn and for the next cropping system, so this can be sort of in between crop, that the farmers can use, in growing their corn. So it's very useful, not just only for as we grow, the feed and fuel stocks, then pwede ditong gamitin in the future, for carbon sequestration and for feed fuel requirements of the aviation sector. If you go to the next slide, please. As we develop this intercropping systems, and elements and enablers, for our corn, so we continue to develop different corn varieties, that addresses different above and below ground below ground pests, no, for different pests and diseases attacking our corn. So now we're in the process of introducing our fifth generation Lepidoptera protection that can find more resistance and protection from different devastating impacts, no, from primary of which is a fall army worm. No, previously it was I mean, in the early generations of our corn, it tries to manage yung Asian corn borer, but then now with the prevalence of fall armyworm, we have developed new varieties, no, to really improve our efficacy in terms of the control of fall armyworm and anticipate for further new pests and diseases. If you go to the next slide, please, and which I think would be relevant to the Philippine market. We're also now going to introduce, no, yung short stature corn in the near very future, and now being tested in Thailand and also in Pakistan. So short stature corn, as the name derives it, is basically 30% shorter than conventional traditional corn hybrid plant, which is around 9 to 12 feet. What it brings, to the next slide, please, is if you have a short stature corn, then it provides you with more stability, more resilience from high winds, no, especially for climate, especially for climate prone, no, like us, no, na talagang ma-typhoon. So it provides more standability and will improve the resilience to combat yung mga high wind. But what it also gives is, because if it's shorter, it also gives more precision in terms of the application for inputs, no, so that driving more further yung reduction ng paggamit ng ating mga inputs, no, since it's now more precise, no. Given that it also only uses, no, small plot of land, it can also bring more yield potential, since mas condense yung ating mas maraming plant ang pwedeng maitanim sa maliit na plot ng land, given if we get to introduce, no, this short stature corn for the Philippine market. And for the last slide, no, please. I think what a crucial, just to teaser here, no, in terms of crop protection, we have talked about green chemistry earlier. I think what we're doing here is more to develop new, we believe that this crop technologies for corn will only be enabled, no, by continually by sustainable protection for crop, no. But then now we're developing a new approach, no, where we develop to a copy approach, no, where we develop new chemistries, no, where mas targeted yung ating mga chemistries, no, for specific protein ng ating mga defined pests and diseases sa market. So it's now more driven by data. Now we can develop new crop protection solutions that are more targeted to specific proteins or specific pests and diseases na nakikita natin sa field. I still have time. Sorry if I've So I think to drive the last point is to really the more that we look forward, no, we need continued development. The last slide, please. The very last slide, please. I think all of these, no, will only be enabled by we need by I think the last point here, the final key takeaway is really we can only enable these technologies to be on the hands of the farmers if we have more science-based environment and stakeholder support, supported by policies that have more appetite for more innovations and allows more continued research, no, for this new adoption and application for these new technologies. So I'll stop there, Dane, or a PPSA for perhaps later on if they want to deep dive more on these teasers that we have presented for the corn technologies.
Thank you, Sir Cyrus, for a very insightful presentation. At this point, may we call on Dr. Elida Cruz Fegalan, the Dean for Distance, Open, and Transnational University of Central Luzon State University, to share about the PESD Tech project.
So, good afternoon, everyone. I'm here to present development from our project. We have this working trademark, which is known as the PESD Tech, which we use for monitoring and management of major pests and diseases of corn and onion through robotics and drone technology. So a drone is an unmanned aircraft although for the sake of being gender sensitive, I have heard that you can use uncrewed aircraft vessel guided by remote control or onboard computers. It is also used for surveillance in areas and terrains, especially for military purposes. And it's used by filming industries and even for special events. We have seen the use of drones. Now, what I'm going to present is not really something new, but the involvement or the use of drones in agricultural monitoring. And speaking of agricultural monitoring, this will actually include its functions in irrigation, in pesticide and fertilizer application, and of course, in crop protection for on-site detection of field problems. So we would be able to undertake corrective measures. So this project, we were able to do this project through the funding agency by DOST, and we have a collaborator here from the National Taiwan University who is actually doing the UGV, the ground vehicle, while we are doing the aerial. So we have this, these are the details of the project, and we are being monitored by PCARD. And as you can see, the research niche that we are addressing is actually SDG 15 or life on land, as well as partnership for the goals. But this project is being fueled by SDG 1, SDG 2, and SDG 3. So no poverty, zero hunger, and of course, good health and well-being. We would like to ensure that our crops are safe. So we are facilitating this through SDG 4, or what we call quality education. So this afternoon, I'm thankful that I'm given the privilege to share with you the development in the project. And this is what I'm going to present. This is more or less the outline of the presentation. Of course, pest and disease outbreaks often devastate agriculture, and it requires constant monitoring to be able to provide timely guidance so that we can adopt protective measures and minimize yield loss. So it involves spatial analysis, and in the Philippines, UAVs or unmanned aerial vehicles are emerging for targeted applications like seedling pesticide and nutrient delivery. However, the ability to capture high-resolution multispectral imagery is the unique characteristic of this project. So we are concentrating on that. Of course, we know that drones are of two types. We have the actuation and we have the sensing drone. And for this case, the drone is sensing. So to give you a background, this is what we are working on. We are beset by, agricultural sector is beset by a lot of pests and of course disease outbreaks. And we would like to have an early monitoring device or something that could make the life of farmers easier. But somehow this would involve collaborating with local government units for this to be effective. So we have here the FAO and the onion armyworm. So we have Spodoptera frugiperda and Spodoptera exigua. So the objectives of the research, you can see here, we have to capture high resolution images perform NDVI analysis and modeling for pest and disease monitoring, establish data integration and cooperation between UGV of Taiwan and UAV of the Philippines, develop customized pest and disease management, conduct a cost-benefit analysis to determine the economic benefits of the technology. Of course, drones are expensive. So these are our methodologies. We divided the methodology into 3 activities. The first and the second would be about NDVI, using UAV imagery and UGV imagery. And the third one is the development of pest and disease management strategies. So I would be just showing you briefly, since we're just given a few minutes. So this would be more or less how we look at the process, machine learning modeling flowchart. And the second one would be the normalized difference vegetation index analysis using the UGV. So more or less, this is the path. And then for activity 3, which is the development of pest and disease advisory system, we aim to develop pest management scheme. Sorry for that. Analyze the cost benefit of UAV. And the third one is to share the technology and the results to the corn farmers and the LGUs. So this is what happens in the field. For the drone flight, it involves flight planning, data collection, image processing. And for the field scouting, we do ground truthing. And in the fields that we've visited, in Nueva Ecija and Tarlac, fall armyworm for the corn and Curvularia leaf spot, again for the corn, are the dominant pest, while in the onion, it is the onion armyworm or the Spodoptera exigua. So, of course, we don't expect the drone to be able to distinguish from the adults of the armyworm, much more so for the immatures. Of course, I've provided here specific descriptions. These are coming from our laboratory. What we would be doing is to teach the machine how to recognize patterns and make decisions based on what we feed it. So we feed a lot of information to enable the machine to learn the different patterns, and so that we will be able to use this and make an interpretation out of the generated maps. So this is a sample of generated images. So this is for the corn vegetative stage. Then we have the corn reproductive stage on the right. We have the corn pest detection map. The dots are the actual plants that we have collected data from. So we get the leaf stage, we get the infestation that's present, we get the pest that's present for each of these dots. So we have done this also in the university. And likewise for disease detection, we did one in San Manuel and another in the university. And then we process the images and do a corn disease reclassification map here in CLSU. So you can see the range from the inanimate objects. So the image on the right is actually a zoomed in image on the left. So the green ones are actually very healthy plants, the light green, moderately healthy, and those with the red are damaged. So you can just look at it for the example. So these are the accomplishments. We have identified specific barangays where the project site will be implemented. Those would be in Camiling and San Manuel, Tarlac. and also in San Jose City and Bongabon here in the province of Nueva Ecija. So we are in direct or in close contact with the local officials as well as the farmers of this area. So we have signing of MOA, the Memorandum of Agreement, and then we also set up field experiments, our own. And right now we will be flying drones inside the screen house, which is quite a feat because we know that drones are flown 500, 300 meters high. But this time, we would try to, the lowest would be around 7 and maybe even 5 meters above the plant. So we have done 2 cropping seasons for corn and 1 cropping for onion, and these are the results when it comes to pest severity, incidence, disease severity, and disease incidence. We do a lot of field scouting, which in my terminology, this is ground truthing. We check what would be in the map and what would be on the ground and try to see how we can sort of make it complementary so that we could come up with a good color. For the field scouting, this is what we're getting. So sometimes as early as 18 days after the corn is sown, there is already fall armyworm. And again, field scouting data from the different farms that we have been visiting. And so this is the technology roadmap. So we had Q1, year 1, the kickoff. Somehow we are here in the middle, testing the algorithm and doing ground truthing. Our main challenge actually is how we can correlate the color to the state of the health of the plant. There's still a lot of work to be done. There's still a lot of activities involved, and we have to resolve some of those issues. So for our sustainability plan, there is a growing potential for private companies, community groups, and entrepreneurs for service provision business. And of course, we would like to spread awareness and of course disseminate remote sensing and UAV technologies and service provision business model for farm monitoring. We would like to devise something like that and have a roundtable discussion with DA, private companies, non-government organizations, and existing drone and farm management software startup companies. So this is what we are envisioning in the future. We know that farmers cannot really afford the drones. Simply put, we will be working with the LGUs so that advanced information can be provided to the farmers, and we could avoid invasions by the armyworm. So these are my team co-team members. I would just like to let you know that I'm not working on this alone. This is the Philippine side. I will meet up with the Taiwan side maybe before the end of this year. So I'd like to thank you, and I hope you have gained something from this talk. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Elida, for a very insightful presentation. So as someone from Nueva Ecija myself, it's interesting how both presentations have highlighted digital technologies such as AI and machine learning and even Python, especially since AI gained a lot of traction this year. We'd like to know more about this in the Q&A. Moving on to our third speaker, please welcome Dr. Clarissa B. Juanico, the Associate Professor and Bidani Program Leader from the Institute of Human Nutrition and Food of the College of Human Ecology of the University of the Philippines, Los Baños, to share with us their work on using nixtamalized corn for food and nutrition security.
Hello, good afternoon. Can you hear me well? Okay, thank you. Okay, so let me start. So first, I would like to thank Sirka and organizer of this session of this e-Kapehan for inviting me to present a portion of our study. So this is part of the A-bar project development of nixtamalized Philippine corn for food health and nutrition. So let me start. So next slide, please. So let me give a quick description about the nutrition situation of the country. So the 2021 expanded National Nutrition Survey of the Food and Nutrition Research Institute reported the existence of malnutrition among infants, young children, and preschoolers, with stunting considered as a high public health concern. Stunting is locally termed as bansot. No? So when we have stunting or yung pagkabansot, it indicates a chronic form of malnutrition. Next slide. Micronutrient deficiency is another form of malnutrition. No? So with only 12.4% of total households meeting their daily calcium requirement and only 5.8% of households meeting the iron requirement and only or as high as 25.6 Filipinos are said to be deficient in zinc. Next, please. So, but if we will compare the consumption of rice and corn among our Filipino communities, PSA reports shows an annual estimated per capita consumption of rice at 109.9 kilograms, giving a 91% of our household reporting rice as their staple food, whereas comparing it with corn, with an annual estimated per capita consumption of only 14.7 kilogram. And that translates to only 8% of our households reporting corn as their staple. Next, please. So corn is considered the second most important crop in the Philippines, yet is underutilized for human consumption. And most of the production, of course, is used in as feeds. No? Boiling, so nilagang mais, boiling is the usual household method of corn preparation prior to consumption, but it does not maximize its potential or its nutritional benefits. Next, please. Okay, so another click yan. Okay, so thus in 2019, no, the Department of Agriculture through the Bureau of Agricultural Research funded a research project which aimed to contribute to the attainment of food and nutrition security through the utilization and processing of corn cultivars in the Philippines. This project focuses on only two varieties, the IPB Var6 and the Lagkitan. This project was implemented at the Institute of Human Nutrition and Food, College of Human Ecology, UP Los Baños. It aimed to provide information on the quality, nutritional value, health-promoting properties of nixtamalized corn to increase the demand for corn as a strategy to augment the supply of rice commodities in the country. Next, please. Okay, so let's describe what is nixtamalization. So medyo haba. Nixtamalization is actually a traditional food processing method commonly practiced in other countries, specifically in Mexico. So in here, dried corn kernels are cooked. They are steeped in an alkaline solution, usually water and food-grade lime. They are drained and rinsed to remove the outer kernel cover or the pericarp and milled to produce the dough that forms the base of numerous food products. No? So in Mexico, they are using it as a dough. But in this study, what we did is we convert this corn into flour. Next slide. Okay, so several studies have reported that nixtamalization improves the nutrient profile of corn, like enhancing the mineral content, specifically calcium, iron, and zinc. It improved the absorption of vitamin B3, It enhances the protein digestibility and improves the resistant starch, and also it decreases the excuse me, phytic acid, thus increasing the bioavailability of iron. Next, please. Okay, so if you are familiar with binatog, have you eaten binatog? No? So this is a local snack made of corn. So binatog is actually a form of nixtamalization, the process of doing binatog. This is made out of dried, mature, waxy corn kernels soaked in alkaline water until it puffs, or by boiling in water with apog or calcium carbonate, then rinsing it several cycles. So actually, if you consume binatog, you're actually eating corn that is high in calcium, better ang bioavailability ng iron, and better in zinc. Next slide. Okay, so going back to the project, so what we did was to modify recipes of common Pinoy snacks by substituting or replacing partially the flour used in the recipe. So as I said, what we did in the project is after nixtamalization, the corn were ground to become flour. And we developed several high-value products or modified the existing recipes that we are using for snack. So we consider the characteristics of IPB-VAR6 and lagkitan corn, particularly its amylose and amylopectin content. IPB-VAR6 generally contains more amylose than lagkitan. Thus, IPB-VAR6 is more appropriate for food items with firm and dry texture, while lagkitan is more appropriate to food products with soft and sticky texture. Next slide. So these are the some of the recipes we modified. So for example, for kuchinta, we developed we standardized a recipe, no? So recipe standardization na basically ang naging focus ng project. We modified the recipes of these food products, and we substituted or partially replaced the ingredients, particularly the flour component, with nixtamalized corn flour. So that is to improve the nutrient profile of the product. For kuchinta, we're able to substitute it 50%, no, as high as 50%. We cannot really substitute 100% because it will not be kuchinta anymore. No? So the product is a little different, and we're able to get the same sensory quality if we replace a portion of the ingredients, the flour component of the kuchinta, with only 50% nixtamalized IPB VAR6 corn flour. For puto, we're able to standardize it at 32%, mahablang at 19%. Next slide. Okay, so for pancake, we also have pasta, loaf bread, and pandesal. And next, please. Okay, so we also developed fermented corn beverage and also the rice corn blend. So these are in the form of grits, no, not the flour. And for the lagkitan corn, flour, and grits, we also develop or modify the recipe of espasol, palitaw, and other products. And given here the recommended, no, the standardized substitution with nixtamalized corn flour. Next. Okay, so these are more of the snacks: uchi, ginataang halo-halo, karyoka, rice corn blend. So basically, what we shown in the study is that we can actually use nixtamalized corn flour in any recipes or Pinoy snacks with flour made with, say, all-purpose flour or bread flour or glutinous rice flour, with a portion or replace it with a portion of nixtamalized corn. So that way, we'll be developing or exploring another source of flour, not only the flour we are buying in the market, like coming from wheat flour. So next. Okay, so given the limited time, no, so these are just some highlights or key takeaways. So one way of addressing the triple burden of malnutrition. By the way, triple burden refers to a problem with undernutrition, overnutrition, also the micronutrient malnutrition, is through the introduction and development of food products with improved nutritional value. And with corn as an underutilized crop for human consumption, despite its potential nutritional benefits, we want to enhance the utilization of corn by adapting, by promoting the technology of nixtamalization. That way, it will promote the use of corn in various forms, not only as boiled corn or not only the typical, as we know, as maha blanca, wherein very minimal or very small amount of corn is utilized. Next. Next, please. Okay, so another clip. Okay, so this potential has been recognized by DA Bar. Thus, we are given another parang support. No, second phase of the project wherein we'll be optimizing the bread production utilizing nixtamalized corn. So this study started this July. And this is ongoing, and this aims to upscale the production of nixtamalized corn flour as well as the production of locally produced breads. No, so we'll be producing pandesal, loaf bread, and buns. No, so which includes the nutri buns with nixtamalized corn flour. So as I said earlier, so nixtamalization will enhance the nutrient content, the mineral content, which is one of the deficiencies, among our children. They are lacking in sources of their calcium, zinc, and iron. With nixtamalization, we will be enhancing the nutrient content. And if we will put this nixtamalized corn flour in bread, and bread, as we know, is a staple of most Filipinos other than rice, then we'll be introducing them a food source, a food source that will be beneficial to improve the health and nutrition, but of course, will definitely increase also or provide support to our corn farmers to increase their livelihood and to increase the demand for corn. So this project will optimize the nixtamalized corn flour production as well as the production of commonly consumed bread in a community setting. Now we'll be using the UPLB campus as a community area to simulate the production and the consumption. It will also include, or the study will include a market and feasibility study to explore its potential for adoption as a community-based bread production facility. So its target output is a training module that will be rolled out by the Barangay Integrated Development Approach for Nutrition Improvement Network Program. This aims to transfer the technology into a livelihood program that will benefit our corn farming communities. So Bidani Network Program is a network of academic institutions from Region 2 to Region 10. So we'll be using the mechanism of this program to help us roll out the training. So, but this will happen in towards the year 2 of this project, optimization of bread. So next slide. I think this is next slide is my final slide. Just to summarize, so development of high value nixtamalized corn products that are nutritionally rich and have health promoting potentials are innovative ways that can be made even at the household level to promote the consumption of corn as an alternative or complementary food that will help improve the nutrition and health status of Filipinos. So this is my last slide. Thank you. And then at this time, I would like to acknowledge DA Bar for the funding support for these research projects. Thank you, and I hope you learned something.
Thank you, Dr. Clarissa, for a very insightful presentation again. We now know that there's a Mexican alternative to simply just boiling corn. Once again, thank you to all our panelists for those thought-provoking presentations. We will now open the floor for the Q&A. We'd like to ask our speakers to open their cameras. So we already have a couple of questions in our chat box. Maybe we could start with Bayer. So Bayer's approach to regenerative agriculture focuses on increasing agricultural productivity while protecting and renewing nature. The question is, how can these principles be applied to other parts of the country or other farming communities?
I think, I mean, if we're going to apply the Regen Ag concepts no, to a wider scale, what farmers no, need no, is really to see the benefit no, or kung ano ba yung kikitain ko sa bandang huli no, when it comes to adopting these practices. I think farmers are also very talagang marunong sila and they are doctors by their own rights no, to really mix and match in terms of practices on what works best in the field. But if they don't see the value of what they're going to use no, from region concepts no, to down to the field and how it converts no, to real income, I think we would find it very difficult to really to scale up these practices. But I think if we complement it to the right technologies that I've mentioned, with the right agronomic practices, no, with it integrated for integrated agronomic practices, no, combined with that, and showing really the value and how it can really bring more money down to their pockets. I think it's very scalable and it's very something that can be adopted widely. But and of course, no, of course, dito din papasok yung mga iba pang mga critical infrastructure that the government, local government, from the national government to the local government can provide, from drying facilities to key technology access to drones, no, or to other critical infrastructures, no. All of these would enable the scale up of these practices for farmers. It's not again one size fits all kind of a solution to really drive these practices to our farmers. What's really needed is to everyone to pitch in and to really see the value to what we're doing.
Thank you, sir. We also have another question for Bayer again. I know that this was discussed a while ago. It's about the fall army worms. Maybe you could discuss it in detail. The question is, does Bayer have any products against fall army worms?
Meron po, marami. So, nasa amin pong website and I can connect you to our commercial system, but we have different biotech corn products in the market. E2E2S. I don't want this to become promotional, but then I'm happy to refer you to our commercial team if needed. But we do have very, very excellent products for the control of fall armyworm.
Thank you, sir. Since we have limited time, maybe we can move on to Dr. Elida. The question is, how can digital pest management, like the Pest Detect project, change the way corn farmers approach pest control? Did digital monitoring of pests have a positive impact on yields, and how can this be measured?
Those are a lot of questions, Mom. I would like to start with the first, with the involvement of the farmers. How do we picture our project to become helpful to the farmers? The ultimate objective actually is for the LGUs, for the local government, yung mga munisipyo, for them to adopt that technology. So we would like to develop a model framework by using actually the different barangays or the villages, using them as more or less a prototype where we can transform the data and come up with a model. What we see is that we will be coming up with sort of how we can detect, how can we do early detection of incoming pest invasion. So we already have some data, but we have to align more or less what comes from the drone imagery and what is real in the ground. So we have to come up with an index, and once we have that, then we have perfected that. Hopefully, we would be using this at the municipal level. Hence, if you have noticed, we have pictures of MOA. MOA with different municipalities. And because we have heard also that our president had actually allotted budget, which they call the Quick Request Fund, allotted budget specifically for agriculture. We do understand that the different municipalities, the municipal offices can gain from this. And I would also like to promote, there was a question if we are also coming up with just a product. We have a product, a nano bio product against fall armyworm, which I did not present because I'm not the one doing the chemistry of that, but I'm providing the more or less I'm providing the chemist, the test insects for that. So we're doing plenty of work on FAO, and this is how we envision how we can help the farmers. We know that a lot also of social, like suicide has happened already because of the infestation by the armyworm, especially in onion. And we would really like to address this, being the nearest university to the onion country, the onion basket of the country. So that's also one driving force, keeping us motivated doing this drone work. I only answered the first two questions. I can't answer the third and the fourth. I'm sorry.
Sige po, thank you po. For Dr. Elida again, is there a tech transfer plan for pest detect project with private companies? If yes, how can we be part of that? Thank you.
Okay. Coming from the government, we have technology sharing office here in the university. If you're interested, you may contact us. But I'm not so sure about the tech transfer. What I'm so sure about is that we're going to train our farmers to do this drone thing for monitoring. Because, you know, if you have seen the data of MAO offices, of municipal offices, when it comes to crop protection, even if there's already intensive or like there's already invasion by the armyworm, what you can see recorded is just the word vegetative and then the word caterpillar. So what we're thinking of is that occurrence or that incident simply tells me we need to train our LGUs to help the farmers. We cannot do it by ourselves, but yes, for the private transfer, maybe when we retire, but no, we're sworn to help the government, the Filipino people.
Actually po may question related to that. The question is, any chance that results be adopted for all LGU level, like by municipal and city agriculturalists to monitor crop health, then check and balances between local demand and supply? The question says, I think GIS has become an important discipline for this as well.
Yeah, I agree that GIS is now part of the curriculum. Before, it's just a special topic. Now it's part of the curriculum, and we know that this is really beneficial for all of us, especially those involved in technology, helping the farmers. But I think we need a lot of innovation still. We need more manpower, brain power as well, because you have seen the team, but it's taking us a lot of energy, and still I'm like a bit more hesitant to say that we have finally achieved maybe 50 to 60%, but still I'm telling them, please do more. We need our eyes to really know what color is healthy, and what color is disease. We need to set up that standard, what is the meaning of green healthy and armyworm infested, and disease infected. So those things are interplay, and we find it very hard to really be assured that what we're getting, if it says in the ground 70% infestation, it should also say in the map 70% infestation. I think that's what we're trying to achieve. And yes, we will be transferring all this to the local government. That was the first intention in coming up with this project.
Thank you po.
Thank you po.
Siguro po singit ng isa pong question. Any vulnerability and risk of visibility in terms of digital imagery, like sabotage and privacy, etc.? Yun po yung question.
Oh yeah, it's not my answer will not be connected to the project, but I have attended an intensive course in sustainability. I think this is the way to do it. So I enrolled again in an intensive course for sustainability. And in one of those courses, it says that you have to be a licensed pilot to fly a drone. So does it mean, again, yes, there's a lot at stake. We really need to train our people, and only the LGUs have the money to help the farmers. Only the LGUs, I think. The private, of course, they will be pouring in a lot of technology, but I think we have to train our LGUs to become more experts in their field, to become GIS experts, to become drone pilots, to become a good disease monitor or a pest infestation investigator. And one of the things that we are missing also is the mapping of how we use insecticides, pesticides in general. Because if we only have that, then we will be avoiding resistance development in the future. So those are the things that we have to consider as well.
Thank you po, Dr. Elida. Question for Dr. Clarissa. Nixtamalized corn has great potential for improving nutrition. What steps are being taken to educate both farmers and consumers about its benefits? And what are the challenges in popularizing this practice?
Okay. Actually, the second phase of the project, the optimization of bread production, is the next step. No, so the phase one, we're able to optimize the process, and we were able to determine the benefits of nixtamalization. So this second phase of the project is the next step, no? And part of the deliverables of this project is to develop a training module which will be rolled out to corn farming communities, which of course include our corn farmers. So, but that will happen towards the year two of this project. With regards to the challenges, it's true, no, there are challenges because most Filipinos are rice eaters, no. So there is this culture component of promoting corn as a staple. That is why we develop this corn flour, no. We will develop this or incorporate corn as a flour, as a bread. So hindi na siya yung rice as rice-like or something na a substitute to boiled rice as corn grits. Although we also promote, no, consumption of corn grits with emphasis on the health benefits of corn, given its high dietary fiber content, its lower in glycemic index, and other nutritional benefits. Siguro other challenge is with regards to sustainability. If there is an industry or a partner from the industry who can maybe produce, no, nixtamalized corn flour in bulk and make it available in the market, so that bakers and households or mothers can produce or cook these local Filipino dishes utilizing nixtamalized corn flour, because what we have in the market is we have the glutinous rice, we have the all-purpose flour, red flour, but there is no nixtamalized corn flour. So we can teach our LGUs to produce, but they can only maybe produce so much, no? But if there is an industry partner who can maybe adapt the technology and produce, put it in the market, that can be a better way to do it.
Thank you po. Related po to comparing corn to rice. The question says, have we looked into how does these compare nutritionally and economically to traditional rice-based products?
Actually, there are a lot of publications or articles already, no, the effect of consuming rice in association or in relation to development of non-communicable diseases. But of course, these are not very conclusive, no. So that is why we are also doing. I'm doing another research, not funded by DOST, on establishing the associations of consuming corn with the prevention or management of non-communicable diseases, specifically diabetes and cardiovascular diseases, because of the potential of corn, because of its high dietary fiber content. No? So with regards to the carbohydrate content, they are not they are almost similar, but in other micronutrients and protein maybe and dietary fiber, there is a little edge, no, for corn. So that is giving us a reason, no, to promote, to explore, or maybe let our people know, or try, or influence, encourage them to try corn for their staple.
Siguro po to continue the discussion, another question is, what is the profile of nutrients contributing to human malnutrition and the order of those nutrients in order to alleviate malnutrition?
So malnutrition is a multi-factorial problem. No? So that is why I mentioned earlier, there is this triple burden of malnutrition. Not only undernutrition, there is a lacking of energy source, no? So ito yung mga underweight, mapapayat. But there is also another form of malnutrition, the overnutrition. So being overweight is another form of malnutrition. So another one is the micronutrient. That is why we have this triple burden. No, when we say what's the profile of nutrient contributing to malnutrition, kahit single nutrient lang na kulang ka, let's say you are deficient in iron, you have this iron deficiency anemia. So that is a form of micronutrient malnutrition already. If you are not deficient but over in energy consumption, that is overnutrition, another form of malnutrition. So maybe we need another full session to discuss malnutrition here. But to alleviate malnutrition, this is a very long, very big problem of the country that will require multi-sectoral support government.
Thank you, Dr. Clarissa. Siguro po balik na lang to Bayer, and then after po we can wrap up since the time is limited. For Bayer, where can we buy hybrid seeds as mentioned in the presentation earlier?
I can connect you to our commercial team regarding that. There are different sites, no, you can search, no, dun sa Facebook and through our own corporate website for that.
Thank you po. Siguro last question for all. Based on your experiences, how can sectors work together to support adoption of these research and innovations? Anyone can answer po.
Maybe I can start. Okay. I'm doing this research as a part of my function as a faculty, no? So as a researcher and a faculty. But the output of our research, being also the program leader of PIDANI, which is an extension program, a network of SUCs na we have these partners from LGU. I think na-mention na to kanina in the first session that it's very important that the output of the research should be translated into extension. So that is what we are doing. No? So the output of the research, specifically from the phase 1 of the nixtamalization project. So with the second phase, ngayon, the output, like the training module, will be rolled out to the community through the SUC, through our partner barangays, because Bidani Program Network is implementing the program in 687 barangays nationwide. No? So that way, nakita natin there is this integration, or there is this collaboration between the academe, through the research, through the extension, and with the local government. And of course, siyempre, with the support from the national government through the DA bar by funding researches. So I think that this is really very important, that the support from all members of the different sectors to support the innovations for corn industry. Thank you.
I'll go ahead. Likewise, we do the same here in Central Luzon State University, and there is actually a pressure coming from the administration for us to be really involved with disseminating information, because there is a drive at the curriculum level, there is a drive at the classroom level, there is a drive at the administrative level of the university, because we're eyeing for stars. You see, we have different kinds of stars, like world ranking for the universities. And the only way to be relevant and to have this visibility is for us to be able to transform the community surrounding us. So these are the things that drive us. But basically, it's the human need, the human nature's need to be able to be of service to our countrymen. So we, on our side, in our project, we are looking at the LGU to be transitioned from manual to digital. And we will be actually recommending this for them to invest in satellite imagery, for them to become advanced, for them to become also experts. And the only way we can do this is through working with them side by side. Of course, those in the government, those in the communities are our friends. We are just working in different sectors of the community. We are in the academe, they are in the industry, we have the farmers, we have the government. So we have to deal with all of this. We connect with friends. We develop our network. So this is actually my advice for us to develop our network so that we can be able to better help society and come up with better solutions. Thank you po.
Just one last from my end. I think when there are different ways to really collaborate, no. One is already the one that you're doing here at CERCAN PPSA, to provide a platform for different stakeholders to really exchange what they're doing. Sometimes, no, we do have we're working on silos, no, on terms of developing new technologies and all. I think much needed platforms such as this knowledge sharing forum, etc., can provide a crucial exchange or crucial information sharing that everyone would be enlightened or informed in terms of what each one is doing. And then I think not just only providing a platform like this, but I think we also, in the first place, we need to clarify what each one has to take part in terms of its role. What is the role of the academe? What's the role of the private sector? I think we need to have a value chain approach, when it comes to collaboration, thinking in mind, from the farmer down to the level ng kanilang to consumption, to feed millers, etc. The academe can obviously will take the role of information generation. The private sector, the feed millers and all, can take on the role for adoption and scaling up of the technologies that will be developed by the academe, and the government will provide enabling policies and crucial frameworks for this. So once we identify and really rightly identify what our each role is, no, I think it's and providing with the platform, I think mas madali na mag-collaborate dito on through the form of maybe through MOUs, no, or through demos, no, or through funding, etc. But I think this has to be clarified first in the first place so that we know how to move forward as a whole value chain.
Thank you, Sir Cyrus. So since we're short on time, maybe we can answer the other questions by typing it on the chat box, especially for Bayer, since there were a lot of questions that were not answered by Bayer in the live session.
So let's go to formally close this session. So let's welcome, wala pong iba, our country director, PPSA director. Wala pong iba, it's Ms. Angel Bautista.
Good afternoon, Ryan, and magandang hapon po sa lahat. As Dr. Gurley mentioned, this is our third Kapehan session organized by PPSA, CIRCA, and the Learning Alliance Working Group of PPSA. I want to thank our panelists and participants for making today's session both engaging and informative. As we conclude our discussion on research and innovations in the coconut and corn sectors, it's important to recognize the significance of what we've explored. The challenges in these sectors are complex, but today's solutions, through research, innovation, and collaboration, offer hope and direction. The innovations we discussed, from digital technologies combating pest outbreaks to green chemistry solutions and nixtamalized corn for nutrition security, demonstrate the power of research in driving sustainable growth in agriculture. However, our work doesn't end here. I encourage all of you, researchers, industry players, and policymakers, to take these insights back to your fields and continue the dialogue. The knowledge we've shared today is crucial as we move forward. A special thanks once again to CIRCA for partnering with us and leading these valuable discussions. Let's carry the insights from today and use them to drive meaningful change in our country's coconut and corn sectors. Together, we can ensure these crops remain pillars of food security, economic stability, and community resilience. Thank you for your participation, and I look forward to seeing the positive impact of our efforts in the future.
Thank you, Ms. Angel, for those inspiring words. And with that, we officially conclude our e-Kapehan sessions on research and innovations in the coconut and corn sectors. A big thank you po to all our speakers, panelists, and participants for your valuable contributions. We hope today's discussions have provided you with new insights that will help advance your work in these crops. Let's continue to work together towards a sustainable and resilient future for Philippine agriculture. Happy National Coconut and Corn Week po sa inyong lahat. At sa muli, kita-kita po tayo sa susunod na e-session. Maraming salamat po. Magandang hapon.